All right, y'all, got some big Israel news that I wanted to share with you before the show. This is a huge deal. So, apparently, Israel attacked a World Central Kitchen vehicle. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a bunch of people who are trying to feed starving Gazans. Not only did they attack this vehicle, they triple tapped it, which means they bombed it 3 times. And the logo for the World Central Kitchen is actually on the top of the vehicle. Now, not only that, it was traveling in an area which in theory is supposed to have no conflict, so Israel should not be bombing there. It's traveling, it's coordinated their movements with the IDF. So they told them, hey, our vehicle's here, don't attack it. We're doing our humanitarian deliveries. And they attacked it anyway. And also, it was leaving a warehouse. So all evidence points to the fact that this was purposeful. This was purposeful. That on purpose, they attacked a World Central Kitchen vehicle. By the way, there's some like celebrity chef whose name is attached to this thing. And so it's kind of become a bigger deal in the West than it would otherwise be. Because at this point, we know that if Israel bombs a car full of Palestinians, you know, you might hear about it on my show or Breaking Points or some outlets, but it doesn't even make that much news in mainstream media outlets because that's just another day in Gaza where, you know, 6 Palestinians get murked while they're in a car, they're minding their own business, doing nothing wrong. But in this instance, you have a number of Westerners who were killed. You have, there was a picture that was floating around online showing all of the passports of the people who were killed, and you had some from Australia, and other countries. And so that has made it a bigger deal in the eyes of the Western world. But Israel is, you know, still doing the thing where they're like, hey, man, I don't know what you're talking about. It was a total accident. We apologize for it. And so let's go ahead and wrap this up, and we're going to keep moving on here. Again, I want to reiterate, traveling in an area where in theory there's supposed to be no conflict, coordinated with the IDF, their route, and the vehicle has a giant logo on the top of it that shows it's a World Central Kitchen vehicle. People were also pointing out times in the past where Israel has bombed Red Cross vehicles, and they have a giant Red Cross on the top of their vehicles, and you could see pictures with giant holes in the Red Cross symbol. And so yet again, I mean, I really have a bridge to sell you if you think that this isn't purposeful. I mean, it is incredibly naive and idiotic at this point to think they're not doing it on purpose. So we also have news came out after this that the World Central Kitchen announced it's pausing its aid operations in Gaza, which of course in turn is going to be cause for celebration among the Israeli government. And again, you have to speculate, hey, was this the point? We all know that the U.S. defunded UNRWA, and Israel cut off funding to UNRWA, and a lot of Western nations did, although some decided we're going to go back to funding it when there was no evidence whatsoever that UNRWA was tied to Hamas. And this is another group that was on the ground doing some humanitarian work, and this has now led that group to pull out and say, hey, man, we don't want to put our people in danger as well. And to me, it looks like, from the perspective of Netanyahu, no matter what he says publicly, he's thinking, mission accomplished. Mission accomplished. So there was a great tweet I saw where somebody said, Israel does something like this, then looks back to see if the U.S. is going to pull on their leash. And when the U.S. doesn't pull on their leash, they go, oh, okay, total green light, total thumbs up, it's open season. We're going to keep doing stuff like this. And that's why we've seen a colossal escalation and ramp up of the worst kinds of atrocities. I mean, this is really, I cannot overstate how much this is like rogue state stuff. And you want to talk about losing the support of the world. We're beyond losing the support of the world. We're at the place where the common sense perspective is everybody and their mother saying, all you people need to be locked up in The Hague. Anybody who's affiliated with the government of Israel and is making decisions like this on a daily basis, you should be behind bars forever. So, but that's not even, look, what I gave you so far is bad. This is not even the worst of it. We have, honestly, something that might even be considered way worse because of the international consequences affiliated with it. So we also got news yesterday that Israel bombed a Iranian embassy in Syria. They bombed an Iranian embassy in Syria, and the purpose of that one was basically to take out the person who is the replacement for Qasem Soleimani, who was a top Iranian commander. You guys remember this. Under Trump, they took him out. He's a top Iranian commander who honestly was on the ground fighting ISIS, one of the front lines in the fight against ISIS, and Trump took him out. You remember how that sparked a huge controversy worldwide and led to tit-for-tat escalations and our bases getting attacked. Well, again, it looks like Israel realizes, hey, the Americans really don't give us any serious consequences. Yeah, they'll do the virtue signal and they'll do the PR stuff where they try to say we're not with Israel when they commit their war crimes, but ultimately it is a green light because they're going to keep sending us money, they're going to keep sending us weapons, and behind the scenes, everything's hunky-dory. And so they, again, on purpose, bombed an Iranian embassy in Syria. That's like a double war crime. It's a war crime because there is no legal authorization to attack anything in Syria. And it's also a war crime because it is an act of war against Iran. You can't just bomb an Iranian embassy anywhere and act like, hey, I have the ability to do this and there should be no consequences. So, by the way, as Ryan Grimm points out, Israel's norm-breaking airstrike on an Iranian embassy in Damascus appears to have led Iran to loosen the leash on its proxies, who are now attacking an American base. American troops are now being attacked over Israel's hubris. So I don't know how many of you guys remember this. We talked about this on this channel. But there was a moment where the Shia militias, who are proxies of Iran, came out and said, hey, you know what? Our fight is not with the Americans. We're going to stop attacking your bases. Now, my guess is there was some sort of communication behind the scenes with U.S. troops and Iran, or directly with their proxies. I think Iran was pissed at their proxies for attacking so many American bases, and Iran felt like they were getting the heat for it, and they were afraid there'd be some retaliation from Washington against them. So the Iranian proxies released a statement not that long ago that was like, all right, look, our beef is with Israel, it's not really with the Americans, we're going to wrap it up with attacking the American bases. Well, as a direct result of Israel bombing an Iranian embassy in Syria, now it looks like Iran said to their proxies, fuck these guys, man. Take the gloves off. Now you can do your retaliatory strikes. Now you can go after U.S. troops in the region. And so, again, as Ryan Grimm points out, because of Israel being so immensely unhinged, because of them spitting in everybody's eye and slapping everybody in the face, now everybody's in danger as a result of that. Again, I cannot stress enough just how much of a rogue state they are. I mean, we're looking at, at this point, it's like you can compare them to like Saddam Hussein when he was like gassing the Kurds. And of course, you guys know he was our boy at the time. And then it was only later on that we built him up to be this horrible dictator and we have to take him out because of morality and justice and all this stuff. I mean, you guys know the whole history of that, but that's where we're at. Like, you want to talk about a pariah state. Now, also, I should point out, Iran sent a letter to the UN Security Council saying it, quote, reserves its legitimate and inherent right to respond decisively to strikes on their consulate building in Damascus. So, in other words, Israel committed an act of war against us. All bets are off now. And let's be clear, this is what Israel wants. Israel wants a broader war with Iran. Israel wants a broader war with Hezbollah in Lebanon. That's what they want. And the U.S. is more than happy to grant them their wish. By the way, Murtaza Hussein made a great point about this. He said, this new round of money and weapons and fighter jets now that are being sent to Israel, when Biden just this week decided, okay, here, I'm going to sign off on more of this stuff for you. That appears to be more about Hezbollah in Lebanon and Iran. That, in other words, it's not about the Palestinians. It's not about, hey, keep your ethnic cleansing and your genocide going, and that's why we're giving this to you. No, it's more, in the case that this blows up even more and gets more regional players involved, that's why we want to give you these particular kinds of armament. So, again, Joe Biden, eyes wide open, understands exactly what's going on here, keeps giving the green light, keeps giving the thumbs up. And There are no brakes in the car at all when it comes to Israel. They are a rogue state. They are a pariah state. The attack on the World Central Kitchen vehicle was on purpose. They killed a lot of Western aid workers in the process. The attack on Qasem Soleimani's replacement, and by the way, a number of other people were there as well. Lord only knows how many were civilians. I'm sure we're not getting good enough information at this moment to know. That was on purpose. This is a colossal escalation. It's almost like they think, well, we're right on track with our plans here to ethnically cleanse and genocide Palestinians in Gaza and resettle Gaza. And everything is going so swimmingly from our perspective there, why not broaden this out and do what we wanted to do for a long time? Because you guys know there's been reporting forever that Netanyahu, even under Obama, was trying to basically prod the U.S. to get involved in a war with Iran because they wanted to do regime change in Iran. Genuinely rogue state. And again, I keep reiterating this point, but it's shocking to me that more people don't know this and understand this. When you could have Ronald Reagan stand up to Israel because Israel was bombing Lebanon, and Reagan famously said, "This looks like a Holocaust. You got to wrap it up." And within 20 minutes, the Israeli prime minister called him and wrapped it up. When you have George H.W. Bush standing up to Israel and telling them, "Look, I'll give you $10 billion in loan guarantees with the condition that you freeze illegal settlement expansion," Reagan and H.W. Bush can stand up to Israel, and Joe Biden, proud Zionist Joe Biden, can watch massacre after massacre and just shrug, send them more money, send them more weapons, act like this is standard operating procedure. I don't think people quite understand just how much we're on the brink of something absolutely devastating. I mean, there already is something absolutely devastating in Gaza. Don't get it twisted. It is an ethnic cleansing. It is a genocide. 40,000 Palestinians dead, nearly 15,000 children dead. That is mind-numbingly evil. But you just wait. If this expands, as it looks like it is going to both Hezbollah in Lebanon and the Iranian government, if they retaliate, which they do have every right to do now, we're off to the races. We're off to the races. And you think America is just going to sit by and have Israel fight Iran? No, they're going to drag us into it also. And at every step of the way, this could have been avoided. But Biden didn't want to avoid it because he's a proud Zionist. And Israel's our top ally. They're the most moral army in the world and all that fucking garbage. The fact of the matter is they're truly a rogue state, a pariah state. They're packed full of war criminals. Every single one of them belongs in prison. Netanyahu, Ben-Gvir, Smotrich, the Israeli generals, you name it. The people were pressing the buttons to attack the embassy, to attack this food convoy. Like, what are we doing here? And they still think they could pull the wool over everybody's eyes. And, oh, no, that was an accident, bro. That was a total accident. We didn't mean to do it, even though the fucking giant emblem is on top of the vehicle that says that it's the World Central Kitchen. I'm at a loss for words. I don't even know how to do these segments anymore with knowing how to properly convey to you how big the stakes are and how terrible this is. Israel is a stain on this world, man. They are totally out of their mind and unhinged, and they're to blame. They're to blame for all of this. So do with that whatever you will, but wanted to do a quick video before the show today because this is somehow they managed to escalate. Somehow they managed to make it worse. Somehow they managed to still, at this late day, continue to shock everybody when we're already so deep into the absolute destruction and massacre of Gaza.